us. I'm Jeff. That is Tom. Director Matthew is doing some editing. This is taped. I'm on the road. I'm on the beach somewhere in St. Augustine as you're listening to this right now. But we want to give you some content, at least give you a fresh hour as we react to the world, Florida State and otherwise, as well as a second hour of a best of. So I'm back live, ready to go on Wednesday, a little 2-day vacay. Hope you had a great Father's Day, everybody out there. First of all, let's just say that. Always enjoy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day again to each and every one of you guys out there. And then happy Juneteenth to everybody who celebrates as well. And so that was great. And, yeah, man, here we go. Here we go. Now, I will tell you this right from the get-go. If you're watching on Warchant TV, you know the deal, you know the drill. Like and subscribe. And if you're listening on 93.3 Real Talk Radio, thanks so much for that as always. But go over to warchant.com. We've begun the top 40. Tom and I participated last night along with Ira and Gene Williams. It'll be a series of videos to go along with an article that is there written by Ira on warchant.com. Involving the preseason top 40. I can't believe it's been nearly 10 years now. I was first asked to join this exercise way back in the day. Me and Gene and DC Reeves, who now is over in Pensacola. Anyhow, we all sat down and did a top 40 preseason sort of off-season endeavor. Top 40 players are going to have the biggest impact on the upcoming season. And that's really what it is, too, by the way. It's just more about not your best players or their potential NFL prospects or, you know, maybe 2 years from now what they're going to be for this football team, but just how they impact, or we think anyhow, they're going to impact the upcoming season. And so 7 of us on staff voted on it. I think it's worthwhile. We'll talk about it here in a minute and have some fun with it. But 31 through 40 was revealed. We recorded that last night. It's up and running. We'll go through 21 through 30 on the next one, where you have a true freshman in that list. You have transfer on that list in that grouping. And then obviously as we get closer and closer to number 1, you know, let the debate begin. There wasn't too much discrepancy, a guy here or there that maybe got left off of somebody's list, or somebody that is really high on somebody else's list, whereas maybe I had him at 30th. Something like that. So that's always fun to talk about. It is truly list season, as we like to say, in off season. But ever since we've done this, it kind of took off, and it's a lot of fun. And I do think that, by the way, it gets the juices flowing just a little bit. You get the sense of, okay, well, let's start putting people in their place where we think they're going to be, how well you think they're going to play. I don't know about you, Tom, but I got excited just to hear Ira's, and I don't want to reveal too much of the list, but just to hear Ira's enthusiasm for Winston Wright. You know, I mean, he really feels like Winston's going to play a lot of games this year. And I'll tell you what, if he does and he's anywhere close to 100%, we actually have a barometer to judge that, because we've seen him play Power 5 football and play it well and be very productive and accumulate numbers. And Florida State doesn't have a lot of guys like that you could say, not a wide receiver anyhow, a lot of guys like that where you'd say, you know, that guy, if he plays, he's going to be good. He's going to matter. That was cool. I mean, I hope he's right about that. That was exciting for me last night to hear his enthusiasm for Winston Wright. Yeah,
it was more enthusiasm than I thought I would hear, which is it's good news for me, because he's dialed into the program and that particular situation certainly more than I am. But both of Ira and I had Winston Wright inside our top 20, and my thought was, given how talented he is relative to the rest of that room outside of Michael Pittman, if you get him for 5 games, 6 games, I mean, I think he's in the top half of this countdown, given what, you know, the roster and the rules for this exercise are impact on the team. So I think if he played half the schedule, he'd have a huge impact on what the offense can do. And Ira throughout the term, I think 3 quarters of the season.
3 quarters, yeah.
That would be just absolutely massive. I get that September is the critical month, so that would put him on joining the Noles right around the end of September. But either way, that's a player that helps create even more balance for the offense. And if you have a balanced offensive attack that the defense has to prepare for with Jordan Travis legs, that should open up some big-time running lanes.
So we'll revisit this this hour, but a reminder to go check it out on warchant.com. Other articles, of course, over there right now involving all of the recruiting stuff that's going on. So a lot of guys that, Michael Langston is clued in on. A lot of guys that he can give you inside information on about what Florida State's doing, potentially with the quarterback room and all that good stuff. So go over to warchant.com and take a look at that as well. All right, so the weekend that was, I think, Tom, and I know normally this wouldn't be a lead, but it was a major, and it was a good one. You don't even have to like golf. You had to like this. I mean, I know you do, and I love golf, but that was something. That's where you as a competitor, you as somebody who likes competition, and I'm talking to all of you out there who, if you're listening to this show, then you do. You just do. You're probably watching the College World Series a little bit. You're probably watching, obviously, you flip on over there maybe on a Sunday to the U.S. Open. You're watching whatever's going on at this time to get you through. That helps pull you through. And if you did that, then you got to see a fiercely competitive ending to what I thought was an incredible venue, a well-played event, a well-put-on event, and guys reach back and find something. And really, a lot of times we talk about guys collapsing. This had little to do with that. It had everything to do with shot making, putt making, and really kind of owning those moments. Matthew Fitzpatrick is your U.S. Open champion. There's a guy that had finished 14th at Augusta, 5th at the PGA Championship, and is now a winner. So it kind of was trending in that direction. They talked about it ad nauseum, the length that he'd put on off the tee and really just in general through his bag. It certainly paid dividends here. It's pretty amazing to think that that's where we're at, though. I remember not too long ago, if you were a short hitter, then you were a short hitter. Like Corey Pavin wasn't going to suddenly hit the ball a million miles. It just wasn't going to happen. You did. Zach Johnson, a more modern reference. Sorry, everybody. Zach Johnson, a two-time major winner, had to win at certain courses. There was just no chance that he was going to compete to actually win the tournament at others. We see guys coming up now, and I always like following, and this is true of any sport. And in a weird way, I can tie Winston Wright into this. The medical advancements, the physiological advancements, the sport-specific advancements, the year-round training that everybody does. In football, for example, in college, the advancements of young receivers and young quarterbacks. Part of that has to do with 7-on, right? That goes on all the time. It's year-round. Certain sport-specific training that they do year-round. Nowadays, if you're a short hitter coming onto the tour, like, say, John Pack, a guy like that, you have a chance. There are people who can train your body to where you can, your physio and your biomechanics, we can rep swing speed enhancements, and all of a sudden you can transform your game and be 10 to 15 yards longer. In the case of Matthew Fitzpatrick, that's what he is, 15 to 20 yards longer than he was, and now he wins. That's crazy. That's the kind of stuff that didn't happen in golf, professional golf, even just 10 years ago.
Yeah, speaking from personal experience, when I got club fitted by a partner of ours that doesn't sponsor this particular program, I think that was 2 years ago, driver fitting. I mean,
I was with you.
Yeah, you were there. So my carry went up 18 yards with one fitting. And I'm not stumping for anything. Notice there's no brand names, no nothing. I'm not trying to sell you anything. That was just the thing that happened with technology. My average carry was in the mid 240s, which was really sad. And then after I walked out of the building, I'm like, all right, I'm going to carry 265, 270. That's all you need, especially with as dry as it gets around here in the winter. You can roll it out there pretty good. But that's the technology that's coming into the game. But then if you add in what you're talking about and something you mentioned on Friday, which is these guys all have a team. I mean, how big was the hug line that Matthew Fitzpatrick had to complete after he won the U.S. Open? Yeah, his family was there first, but I think there were 10 other people. I counted 10 other people. Yeah. Well, if you've got, that dedication across the board to everything about your swing, and that's your priority, you spend as much time on it as he does, then there's a chance that, honestly, I think 15 to 20 yards really isn't a whole lot. When you look at his body type as well, he's not a tiny dude. This isn't a Justin Thomas that just doesn't have the swing speed. And I get that Justin is explosive, but he's kind of a biggish dude in terms of the game of golf. But as far as the presentation goes and what the Sunday was like, that was thrilling. We had talked about it at length last night on the phone, but it's just because you had enough spacing of people that were competing to win this thing. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like it's only Will Zalatoris versus Matthew Fitzpatrick for 3 hours, which has its own kind of pace, which is stop and start, stop and start. This had Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy at moments, Hideki Matsuyama at moments, and others, that it's just every time they cut to a shot for 4 hours, it was a really important shot from somebody.
Think about the leaderboard. Think about how it ends up. Fitzpatrick, Scheffler, Zalatoris, Matsuyama, Colin Morikawa, Rory McIlroy, and Morikawa tied. Even Tom, a sneaky backdoor top 10 from previous U.S. Open champion Gary Woodland. I don't know if you caught that or not.
No, I caught he was playing with somebody of consequence for a while, and I'm trying to think who it was. That was the only time I saw Gary, because I don't know they showed maybe more than one of his shots during the.
You want to know what's weird? I agree with you, Tom. First of all, was he playing with he wasn't playing with John Rahm, but he might have been playing with Xander Schauffele. But the point would be this. Gary Woodland, and this is just an oddity to throw out there, shot 69 on Thursday. I don't think anybody mentioned him. He shot 73 and barely made the cut, but he made the cut. And then 69. He had 3 rounds in the 60s on this course. Man, okay, Gary had him. I say it's a backdoor top 10, but not really. I mean, 3 rounds in the 60s is doing some things on that particular course. That's an aside. I tell you what, I'm beginning to wonder if we're done with Brooks. I hope not. I hope not. To bring it back to Florida State for a second, I wonder how much he cares. Now, he just got married, and that could have a lot to do with it. Obviously, you're distracted when you're planning a wedding, when you're getting married. He's come off of injury, a lot of things like that. I mean, he was terrible yesterday, and those numbers ballooned huge. He ended up in the 50s, Tom, in terms of his finish. That's awful. And I worry. I'm just going to say it now. I'm going to put it on the record. I worry he's a take the money and run guy if it balloons to over 200 million from Liv. And I just hope it doesn't happen, because he's got such a firm presence in the history of the game, because he's won 4 majors. And he's, during that broadcast several times, they talked about his back-to-backs. So few people, you hear Curtis Strange all the time, but it's so fun to hear Brooks Koepka's name mentioned into that. I don't know. I just think he's got more to do if he cares to do it. If he cares to be here and not right off in the sunset. I saw indifference.
Well, by Sunday, yes. I think Saturday morning there was not indifference at all, but that's the day he laid the egg. You shoot 75 when you're at even par within striking distance. I mean, if that's a 68 or something, then he is a big part of the presentation and the proceedings yesterday, and that's typically where he is. I mean, even last year, he's in the final pairing with Phil Mickelson for the PGA. And the previous 4 U.S. Opens, he had only lost to 4 total golfers, I think it was.
Yeah, it was crazy, the number,
4 previous U.S. Opens, excuse me.
Yeah.
He only lost to 4 total players. Watching him very closely as I do, I think it's too early to make a prognostication, because his last 3 tournaments this season were, before the U.S. Open, were one event followed by the Masters and the PGA. He was playing basically for the last 2 months a Tiger Woods-like schedule, which is you're just cherry-picking the majors only. I know he doesn't like to play a lot of the regular tournaments, but that's light even for him. I think it had to do with the injury and the wedding. There were moments on Friday I thought, oh, okay, he's back. He's turning the corner. But 1 good day versus 3 good days is a huge, huge difference. You're always going to have you're going to have a stinker in the course of a 4-round weekend, but you got to have 3 good ones. And I think he only had 1 good round this particular week. We'll see what it looks like over at the Open. That's a gettable course for just about everybody in that field, given that it's not the longest place in the world. But he's got a long way to go still. No matter what path he takes, he's got a long way to go to get in that kind of shape.
Tiger will play in the Open, and that is, of course, the final major. And we won't stick to golf too long here. I do think the story of the day in the world of sports is Live Golf and its infringement on the PGA Tour, at least in terms of how many guys they get and what's it going to look like moving forward, the landscape of golf. I do think that you saw for a brief moment on Thursday, Kevin Na play well, and then he fell out of contention completely by Friday, which was good to see. Patrick Reed had a moment where on Saturday you began to wonder if he was going to compete. Thankfully, he faded to +10, got him out of there. The only guy on that tour that played particularly well and handled it, and we certainly know the story, that was Phil Mickelson, and he was awful. There wasn't a single thing he could point to in his round or his 2 rounds that he could fall back on. So he's done. Look, he'll play the British, of course, but I got to wonder going into next year how much we see of Phil. But Dustin Johnson handled it pretty well and was in there for a long while, unfortunately. I don't root for any of the Live guys. I hope they all fail miserably. But to see that guy handle at least the pressures of it, and the fans didn't really scream at anybody that you could tell. I heard one "you suck, Phil" one time as he was waving and doing the little thumbs up there. It did make me laugh. That was on Friday, and he's plus 15 at the time, plus 15. And he made a par putt, 15-foot par putt. And there was a very nice, polite crowd reaction. And one guy, a man after my own heart, yells out, "You suck, Phil. Go away." And Phil smiled and gave the thumbs up. I was like, yes. He was, they talk about the boisterous level of fans in New York and Boston.
Yeah.
I thought the Boston people were pretty nice to those guys. I was,
yeah,
we only had a couple of those moments.
In terms of the heckling, there really wasn't much. It's just, it was like the first 3 or 4 holes yesterday. Good God, there was one dude. It was following around all the shots on the greens and on the tee, and I was like, could you please oust that mother beep? Because God, on every shot,
he was trying to time right when it came off the club. It was very annoying, actually.
Yeah. Those are, course director T. Lang would have a no. Don't be a DB policy. That would be my policy. And if you are, you're gone. That would be on the signs. It'd just be a picture of Bryson. Don't be
generalized.
Don't be a DeChambeau or you're gone.
Speaking of which, he made zero noise. Did seem to have a swing back though. I will say that. Oklahoma defeats Notre Dame 6-2 last night. Texas A&M houses Texas in a rivalry game, 10-2 if you're watching the College World Series. I know Tom is not. I do. I can watch even when we're not in it a little bit, just a little bit. In a weird way, I'm like a lot of Florida State fans that are rooting against Link Jarrett. It sounds so terrible to say that, but I think a lot of Florida State people are like, yeah, this is a wonderful run, Link. We're all real proud of you. Let's wrap it up here. Let's go. Let's go.
I think it was critically important that they did not start 2-0. If you're trying to finish and wrap up this particular chapter in Florida State baseball history, the pursuit of Mike Martin Jr.'s successor, the sooner that he can get off a plane from Omaha to Tallahassee, the better. So that was a good development for us yesterday. I'll watch the final 3, the best of 3 series at the end. But no, I was too busy watching the U.S. Open this weekend and watching our hockey team get their asses handed to them too. So
that was the final note. It was going to be just a quip.
Yeah.
Just a quip about 7-0, which actually in many ways allows me to kind of roll out there the tried and true discussion of fandom, which is that how would you rather lose 2-1 in overtime, or 7-0? I'll tell you what, I don't know about 7, but I don't mind being down 4-0. In the second period, you're like, this is over.
It's like being in 3rd grade and trying to arm wrestle a 6th grader right now. That's exactly what it looks like. Yeah. And you got no chance. The only thing I didn't like about Saturday was pull your goalie, man. Don't let him wear this embarrassment. It's ridiculous. But we'll see. It's the last stand tonight. If they get blown out again, or if they lose in any form or fashion tonight.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, they're not coming back from 3-0 against this Colorado team.
Right, right now, you got to beat him 4 out of 5. So, and if that's the end of the run, again, like I've said plenty times last month, it's a standing ovation. No matter how this thing ends, that's the beauty of trying to pursue 3 in a row. This is true excellence at work. Just try not to get your head kicked in 7-0 in the next 2 games, please. That Colorado just looks ungodly, or maybe the exact opposite. Maybe they look godly.
Yeah, again, like you said, if it's going to come to an end, I kind of like watching Colorado play. They've won me over. I lumped them in with all the Western Conference teams that I think are garbage, and now I'm wrong. So far I'm wrong. They got depth, they got speed, they play more physical than I gave them credit for. So that's where they kind of won me over, because I've seen teams like Toronto, and I know that Toronto's not in the West, but like I was saying to you, I'm like, we'll see. Kind of like I did with Florida. Like, it's all fun and games when you're allowed to race up and down the ice.
Yeah, I would, have loved to. This is the geek in me, but that 2015 Lightning team, I would have loved to see them play this group.
Right.
They weren't allowed to play this style. Chicago was just too damn good at shutting it down. But that would have been an amazing final if you could pit that team against this group from Colorado. The whole thing that you're trying to do, and this is because they're getting older, and you could tell there isn't much left in the tank, if there's anything left in the tank for the Lightning team. They're trying to win 3-2 or 2-1 these next two games. And who cares about goal differential in the series? If you can get that thing back to Denver at 2-2, in a weird way, there won't be pressure on the Lightning at any point the rest of the series.
No, I agree. And I do think that is the whole key here. If you do win, and you saw it with the Rangers and you've seen it with other teams, look, the second things start to get towards the end, like you have 3 games to play and we're tied. Mm-hmm. That's where these teams trying to knock off the Lightning, everything shifts because they are well aware of who they're on the ice with. And the 2-time defending Stanley Cup champions, who are now at that point, in all likelihood, if it happens, they have now dictated terms for 2 games. And all of a sudden, there is this creeping doubt that gets into those groups, those younger players, those teams that haven't climbed the mountain, haven't won the Stanley Cup championship, Stanley Cup trophy. You see it. You watch the way they play. They're careful to try not to make a mistake. They're not as footloose and fancy free.
Yeah. The one final thing I'd say, and I'll be interested tonight, it's almost like you peek your head up like that George Clooney gif. That's what tonight like, are you? What's going to go on? When Tampa beat the Rangers, closed it out 2 Saturdays ago, their quotes about Colorado alarmed me right away. They were all speaking about, the challenge ahead, and they're like, that's the best team in hockey by a mile. We don't say stuff like that. So I found that interesting. I was like, oh, man. Why? Is there mentally a problem here? Was it just the experience of playing them, even the regular season? Yeah. But they had things. They had an overabundance of respect for the Avs, and now I'm seeing why.
It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV. Ask about the Hamilton for Heroes program. Personalized attention with your needs put first. Now that's refreshingly simple. Find out more at HamiltonHomeLoans.com. That's HamiltonHomeLoans.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 200719.
Hey, this is Dustin Rivas. During the pandemic, I noticed restaurants struggling with online ordering and watched as all the major third parties took advantage of our local restaurants and thought there must be a better way, which is why I created FoodiesTakeout.com. The unique thing about Foodies Takeout is that restaurants keep 100% of their order revenue versus splitting upwards of 30% with the third parties like Uber Eats and Bite Squad. At Foodies Takeout, you can find some of your favorite restaurants, such as Jerry's Midtown Cafe, Miss D's Kitchen in Frenchtown, Casa Grande, and even El Jalisco. Or if you're on the north side of town, check out Horizons Bar and Grill. Why not give us a try? Head to foodiestakeout.com or text foodies to 230-9456, and I'll even give you 10% off your first meal. Supporting local restaurants has never been easier. Visit foodiestakeout.com.
Hi, my name is Shannon Pash, and I'm the principal at Red Hills Academy. We will provide a challenging, rigorous curriculum. We will also work with our students to teach them how to set goals and then how to work to reach those goals. Red Hills Academy will offer the Spanish language every day. Relationships are really important to us, not just with our students, but with our families and the community. This benefits parents and students alike because parents get that involvement within the school. Easily apply online today at redhillsacademy.com.
Siri, tell me a joke.
The past, present, and future walk into a bar. It was tense.
All jokes aside, the trained professionals at Mac & More Systems are serious about Apple products. For all your Mac repairs, call Mac & More Systems at 894-3622. 894-3622.
Physical stress on our bodies can take its toll as the years go by. Whether you're looking to get back into an old sport or just want to spend more time outdoors to explore all life has to offer in our beautiful city, the dedicated team at TOC is here for you every step of the way. You can trust TOC for all your orthopedic needs. And now, scheduling an appointment has never been easier. Just visit teamtoc.com and click schedule online. That's teamtoc.com.
Whitten Glass has been taking care of families since 1945.
Experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best, like Whitten's top-of-the-line bath enclosures. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Wooden Glass, and they provide precise installation.
Wooden Glass, Tallahassee's first family in glass. Online at woodenglass.com. Call 850-222-5781.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Welcome back, Jeff Cameron Show. Good Monday, everybody. Hope you're well. This singular hour of the show today, there's a second hour coming up. It's best of. This one is fresh, new content we recorded this morning. I am currently in St. Augustine, so I will be watching tonight's hockey at a beach bar in all likelihood, and then going to a concert on Tuesday, back live with you guys on Wednesday. That said, last night we were able to record the first installment of our video series. You can watch this on YouTube, Warchant TV. You can find it on warchant.com as well. There is an accompanying article by the great Irish Chaffel also. And I guess we should just get into it, Tom. We should just get into some of those selections now that they've been revealed on the website. I know that the article is up at the time that people are watching this. And we should have a chance to kind of go through this. I don't know, was there any one thing that stood out to you about the guys that didn't make it? I know on the show last night, in a video that you guys can watch, we pointed out that it was kind of odd that Tate Rodemaker didn't make the list in that top 40. But again, if you're going to the glasses half full approach this top 40, ideally Tate Rodemaker wouldn't have an impact on this upcoming football season. Yeah. He wouldn't have any impact whatsoever on this football season if you're a glasses half full kind of guy. Because if he does, then you got real problems, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think with Tate, it's just a matter of, how much does he need to play this season in order to be in the top half of most impactful players? I mean, that's the exercise. And I don't think it has to be much more than maybe a half of a critical game. Let's just say that Jordan goes down in the first quarter of the Miami game. And he comes back in the third quarter, but Tate's out there for 5 or 6 drives. If you're still in the football game at the end of Tate's time on the field and Jordan takes, the reins back and maybe we win a football game by 3, then it's almost like a critical long relief appearance in a weekend series in baseball. You're like, wow, thanks to Tate, this game was 10-7 Miami in the third quarter, 17-14 Miami. He led that one touchdown drive. I think that alone puts him in the top 40 because this season is so critical and every win matters so greatly. It's hard to project 12 games out and not see Tate Rodemaker playing at least a couple of quarters. So that's why I have him in my top 40. But you're right. I mean, if he has to play multiple games, then our win total and win projections just drop down.
It depends on the games he would have to play, of course. Yep. Listen, if you got a scenario by which he comes in against Miami and we win in the second half, it means he won a road game against the Canes, and all of a sudden we're feeling a lot better about Tate Rodemaker. But in all seriousness, I want to see whether or not Florida State is in a position for the first time in forever to play their backup quarterback in a game in which they're comfortably ahead. Wouldn't that be something? That'd be nice. We haven't seen that in – when was the last time we saw that? I know we thought we'd see it against Jacksonville State, but not only did it not happen, we lost the game. So, I'm trying to think of these moments in which we just say, put the backup in already.
UMass. Last year against Walt Bell's UMass. That was it.
There it is. Yeah, very forgettable. Very forgettable. That said, I hope we see Tate Rodemaker for the right reasons, those aforementioned reasons, blowout victories. That'd be great. That'd be great to see. I like that young man. I think he's worked real hard. I don't know what he would do in a game situation that mattered. I don't think any of us do because the spring didn't tell us. The spring practices told us that he's better, but the spring game was formatted so poorly and the wins were such that you really just didn't get any kind of a look.
Yeah, this is another philosophical thing, too, is just looking 31 through 40. These are your filler guys. I mean, maybe there'll be headier times in the next couple of seasons in which you say 31 to 40. These are critical
good players,
rotational guys. Yeah, we don't have a lot of rotational guys on this roster this year. So I had both the punter and the kicker in my 31 to 40 list. Quite a few of us on staff did not rank those guys. And if you're playing, what do you think it's going to be? 7 or 8 games that should be within a possession, at least the betting line certainly will be. Special teams is going to matter greatly. And I don't want to think of the coverage units because if I do, I'll get too angry on a Monday. It's too early in the week to be that pissed off. But you're looking for a 45-yard field goal when you got to have it. You're looking for a punter who can flip the field once or twice.
That's correct.
Those guys are going to have huge impacts on the win total this season. I mean, if Fitzgerald goes 1 for 4 in a game and it ends up being a one-possession game, that's how you lose unexpectedly. So these guys are going to have their fingerprints in a big way on whether or not we get up to 8 wins this year versus 6 or 7.
You hit on something that's really critical for all of us to understand, for the fan base to understand, and to have your heads wrapped around as you go into this football season, as you go into spring practice, as we get set for the ACC meetings next month. Florida State, according to Las Vegas, is going to be in a one-score game somewhere in the neighborhood of 7 to 8 times out of a 12-game schedule. That's insane. You rarely see the numbers reach that. You might see 5 or 6, but 7 or 8 is really rather remarkable. And all you got to do if you want to play out the exercise is pull up the schedule. Pull up the schedule at home, whatever, on your phone, and look at how many times you think to yourself that's a fourth quarter game. I mean, you'll do it a lot. You'll even do it in games that you're projecting Florida State to win, confidently win. Like you'll say to yourself, I really do think that they'll win this game by whatever. They'll win this game. I'm not worried about them losing it. So let's say you say that about Boston College. All right. Well, it's nice that Boston College, it's a shame for the young man, lost their star offensive lineman for the season with a torn ACL because he's a stud. And in fact, they lost that entire offensive line. But, are you so sure Florida State's going to blow out Boston College? I'd like to think, but that's where we're at. We're just not that good. There's aren't too many times where that's going to be the case. Now, I would argue they should have blown them out last year if the officials hadn't stepped in. But the bottom line is we'll see. I'm not certain they're going to blow Boston College out. Wake Forest at home. You may be an underdog in that game. On the road at Louisville, you are an underdog for that game. On the road at NC State, you will be an underdog for that game. At home to Clemson, you will be an underdog for that game. The blowouts potentially are home against Georgia Tech, but as Tom correctly points out, we never play Georgia Tech well, so I guess we'll see. The LSU game in New Orleans, we're a slight underdog already. At Miami, you're going to be an underdog. At Syracuse, you'll be a favorite, but I don't think it'll be by more than 7? I mean, right. What will that be? Louisiana here, that's a mystery. If they carry over their successful play from the last few years without Coach Napier, then maybe that's a more problematic game. My suspicion is they've lost too much and they're going to fall off a bit. But I think you get the point. Here at Doak Campbell, the Florida game, right now you'd project Florida to be a slight favorite there. Almost every game, it's not named Duquesne. Almost every game it's like a one score, maybe slightly above that contest. So your kicker and your punter are going to matter a lot in one score games. Field position will play a huge role in those games. Makes and misses from 40 to 45, as you point out, that'll be huge. Do you have a lot of faith in those guys? Or are you just lukewarm with those guys? I think you're pretty lukewarm.
Yeah, with Mastromano, I'm lukewarm if we're backed up inside our own 30. But if we're near midfield, I feel great about Mastromano. He's very good at maximizing the coffin corner effect, or whatever it is, the rugby style. I hate the talking point of him being ambidextrous with his feet. I think that's the dumbest clown show thing in the world. But he'll pin you inside the 20 now, which is what you need. It's just, you go through the list of games, and if you say to yourself, Fitzgerald's 1 for 3, and you go down the line like, oh, no.
Well, you won't beat LSU if he's 1 for 3.
Right. But if he's 3 for 4, then you go, oh, all right, that'll work. That's how tight these margins are. We're not thinking about 10-point victories. We're thinking about 4-point victories or 7-point victories.
Correct.
And, that's where the season's going to be. And that's where – look, man, I look forward to a time where you go down a list of games. You go, well, if the kicker's 1 for 3, who cares? But we're not even in that stratosphere. We're not even close. So that's where all these little details will matter. And I know we talked about it in the video, that some of these younger players on special teams, if you've gotten better as a roster throughout, then you should start to see it rear its head in coverage for punts and kicks, in returns for punts and kicks, because you've got a better class of player out there. But we're just going to have to see that those margins are being better managed, because if they look like they did last year for the first 3 games this season on special teams, you may need to fire somebody within those first 3 games. They spent so much damned time on this particular phase of the game. We had better see marked improvement, not just in the kicking game, but top to bottom.
Yeah, I still can't. A lot of things, listen, it's no secret over the years. You guys know this. I'm fairly opinionated, probably the reason I have the job that I do. I'm usually able to come to a conclusion, fair or otherwise, pretty quickly about people and things. But the truth is, I can't figure that out. I still don't understand why. That has to be a personnel issue. That has to solely be a personnel issue. Now, I can clearly figure out why you sucked on return in the return game. You didn't have anybody that could do it. The guys that you tasked with the responsibility of catching the football didn't. So that's the end of the discussion there. Also, kick return, Tom, was a bit of a mystery too. Sort of the half-assed decisions, sort of the half-stepping when you did decide to come out. Also, why did you consistently decide to come out?
Right.
Now that is philosophical, I think, and that is problematic. Let's hope that lesson learned there. But the other stuff, the covering of kicks, we were awful last year. Awful at covering kicks. I don't understand how that's possible. It's really not that hard. You just have to have some guys with a whole lot of want to and a tiny bit of discipline. It's just not that hard. The
answer is it's a personnel issue either way. It's either a roster personnel issue or a coach's room personnel issue. It's going to be a personnel issue. But what I don't understand is when the rule changed and the 25-yard line on a kickoff is a touchback, what are the chances? I mean, legitimately, if you're not down 10 in the fourth quarter, where you need a big
right, you just want to spark,
right. What are the chances that you're going to get beyond the 25-yard line? I'd love to see the analytics on that, because they talk about how they're forward thinking, and at times they're like Brandon Staley out in LA with the Chargers. You're like, if you're forward thinking, you're going to do the exact opposite of what you're doing. Like, what is the risk reward of a holding penalty, a block in the back penalty with personnel problems? You don't really have a ton of skill players that can break a home run either.
Well, that's the bigger issue,
likelihood that you're going to get beyond the 25-yard line. The 25 is nice. It's really not a bad place to live.
No, it's not. And you don't have an electrifying returner. I get it if you've got a superstar player. If you got a guy that can change the scoreboard every time he touches the football. Lord knows Florida State's had a few in their history. You want to see them. You want to see them create. You want to see them potentially change the game by making one or two guys miss. But they haven't had a guy like that in a long time, really. There hasn't. You got to go back a ways.
And the unfortunate thing is, if Winston Wright didn't get hurt, he would have been that guy. And I'm not so sure that if they can get him back on the field, that they want to run him out there in the situation of a kick return. You can't guard against failure and allow it to paralyze your success. But in this specific case, given that he's got professional aspirations, he may ask and say, look, man, I just got fully healthy and I need to be, if I'm going to go down, I go down at wide receiver, not a kick returner for you. We'll see. The punt return game is already infinitely better. I don't care if you can't cover it at all. You're going to catch the football. Yeah. But the kick return game, Winston Wright would have been that guy. We'll see if he is still. If he is, then double thumbs up. Thank you so much, because we'll have good returners in both phases.
Yeah, really quickly, where I do think they're better, and then we'll take a quick break here. I do think you have some guys that are on this list that you get excited about. Sam Mccall is a guy we talked about on this 31 to 40 list, where I mentioned I had him as high as in the top 30 because I think over time, by the second half of the season, he may be getting run out there in that secondary. But I know he's going to get run in special teams, and we all know Azrae Thomas is going to get run. And you've got guys. Shaheem Brown is a guy. Sidney Williams will hit your ass. You've got guys that I think should be stars on special teams. They have the requisite athleticism and toughness to be. So let's hope we see that improvement, because it's been very, very frustrating. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Police officers were there to speak with persons of interest in several felony cases. When the deputies got out of their cars, one person in the group shot at them. A patrol car was hit on its driver's side window, but the two deputies inside were not hit by bullets. The Florida Highway Patrol used a tracking canine and a drone to find the suspects. A few minutes after the shooting, deputies detained Devontae Hawkins, who is charged with 2 counts of attempted murder. Monticello police arrested the second man, Trey Ryan Brown, on counts of threatening to commit a mass shooting in violation of probation. Multiple guns were recovered, and the scene was cleared around 11 p.m. 2 deputies from the sheriff's office received medical attention on the scene from Jefferson County Fire Rescue for minor injuries from broken glass. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. A mix of clouds and sun this afternoon with a slight chance for scattered storms. Highs level off around 96. Winds out of the east, 8 to 15 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies tonight. Slight chance for scattered thunderstorms. Lows dip down to about 72. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times again tomorrow. Highs level off around 97. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 89.
This is Kyle, service manager from Barano Heating and Air. Schedule an appointment from your mobile device to learn about our Total Comfort Service Program. With guaranteed same-day service, 15% off necessary repairs, and $25 berry bucks to use towards air filters and other products. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Any day, anytime, anywhere. Online at baranoac.com.
Florida license CAC 1816-186. Well. Hey, Jeff, look at this place.
Yeah. Well, doing well. It's been a while since I've seen you, brother, but, it hasn't been a while since I've been over to Gordo's. I go there on the regular because of you, Eddie.
Well, we keep you regular.
Well, that's true, but I think of Gordo's as a place to sit down, have a cold beer, talk to your friends, enjoy the sports, eat the delicious food. But I think of you as Uncle Eddie, a man who takes care of his people and takes care of the town.
I appreciate that, Jeff. Hey, and we'll keep you regular.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Here's what you missed on the Greg Tish Show.
Chattanooga, Tennessee. Pastor Tabner was alone with a female church employee. She in a towel, and he in his boxers. The charismatic 41-year-old Hurley explained the two of them had been making chili and gotten food on the floor. With the hot dogs that they were making, we are hoping that the pastor used the right condiments.
I think there was at least one hot dog involved.
I don't know what you're talking about. We were just making chili dogs.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Wrapping it up, at least for the live hour of the Jeff Cameron Show. Next hour, which you're going to hear in a moment, is, in fact, just some best of segments there. But We'll back with you live on Wednesday. Just wanted to give you a heads up again. Today's hour, new content, but recorded this morning before I left to go on a 48-hour vacation to St. Augustine, if you will, and go to a concert. But that said, we don't want to miss out on doing probables. So, Matthew, if you would, you could cue it up. I'll take a sip of my coffee. I haven't done probables over coffee.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
There you go. All right, so let's do this. Let's get to it. Let's go to the probables. Got day games today, guys. Marlins, Mets. Tom, did you guys win yesterday?
We did not. That is an atypical thing for us these days. We're at 20 games over 500, merely 20 games. But the Marlins got a 6-2. That was the Sandy Alcantara day. So they win a lot of those, the Marlins.
By the way, 20 games over 500 in the first half of the season. When I was young, and I think you probably did this too, I don't know, like your first goal as a fan, in a weird way, monitoring a very long baseball season, was always this idea that can you get to 10 games over 500? Once you get to 10, no matter when it was, then you sought that separation, which is what 20 games would represent. And rarely were you at that plateau, and you were at 21 going into yesterday's game. Rarely are you at the 20 games over 500 plateau in the first half of the season. So you've got to be flying high right about now.
It's a matter of holding it down until the arms come back at this point. But it was that key stretch, as I'm sure a lot of Braves fans were watching, hoping that when we went on the West Coast, where we fall flat on our face. But you go Dodgers, Angels, Padres for 10 in a row. Then you come back for the Brewers for 3, and they went 7-6 in that circumstance. That's all right. That's doing some things.
Yeah, it is. Marlins, Mets, Trevor Rogers, David Peterson, Cubs, Pirates, Caleb Kalan, and JT Brubaker. Oh, God, I pity the people rolling into PNC Park, although it's a beautiful park, to watch a 7 o'clock game between the Cubs, who currently sit at 25-41, and the Pirates, who are at 26-39. Tigers, Red Sox, Alex Fado, Josh Winkowski, Yankees, Rays, Garrett Cole, Shane McClanahan. Oh, by the way, that's a really good game. Woo! Everybody should watch that one. Stop what you're doing tonight. Yankees, Rays, 7-10 down in St. Pete. Should be a good one. Giants, Braves, Logan Webb, Max Fried, Blue Jays, White Sox, Jose Barrios, Lance Lynn, Cardinals, Brewers, Miles Mikolas.
Yes?
I was wondering if you'd be ready. Corbin Burns, Royals, that's another good game, by the way. Royals, Angels, Chris Bubik, and Noah Syndergaard. We got the D-backs and the Padres late night. Zach Davies. What are the old D-backs doing? Hanging in there at 32-36, okay. Zach Davies and Yu Darvish going for the Padres, and that is a look at those that shall reside on the bump. Before we sign off, how bad do you feel for I'm starting to wonder. I'm not wondering about him, but I'm beginning to feel for him. Zalatoris is my man. That's a tough one. He hasn't done anything wrong. He didn't do anything wrong. The playoff against Justin Thomas, he was 1 under in the 2-hole playoff, and Justin was 2 under. What are you going to do? Dude birdied both holes and 6 of the last 7 that he played. So it's not like Zalatoris fell apart. And then he didn't fall apart at all in this. I just feel bad for him. It's starting to feel like that year Ricky Fowler had.
It is, but these dudes are different. That guy, his ability to pin seek from all distances consistently in majors. Yeah. He's just more of a shot maker. And there are so many times that a major championship in golf feels like a typical NFL game between two mediocre teams, which is who loses the game more rather than who goes and takes the game from the other team. Will take that stuff away from you, man. It's just that he's been snake bit, and his press conference, I'm such a geek for this stuff. I don't know. Maybe there's a project in there somewhere where we just, have a PGA Tour pod or something. But his press conference is so impressive yesterday.
Yeah, he's awesome.
20 minutes. You could tell it hurts, but he's not devastated staring at a wall. He's got the look that, dare I say, Phil did back in the day, and this is just Phil the golfer, where he's saying, man, it's fine. I'm going to win a lot of these things.
Yeah, I want to win a lot of majors.
I'm not going for broke trying to win one. I'm going to win a lot of them. And look, his putter held up yesterday for all the roller coaster that a 2-footer is for him. And it is to watch. You're like, oh, God. It's like watching a kicker that you can't stand line up from 42 and you're down 1 point. You're down a point with 3 seconds to go. You can't. That's him from 2 feet. But he didn't miss any. Like, he hit some great putts yesterday.
Well, this is well documented too. 15 to 20 feet, look out. It's going in. Like, he's got a real good chance to make it. His putting stroke from 20 feet is beautiful. It's just so rhythmic and gorgeous. If he could just replicate that from 2 feet, it'd be nice. I don't know what it is, but no, he held up. He's fun to watch. I don't want to spend too much time on him, but as we were wrapping it up, poor guy, at some point you wonder when the weight of finishing just short in these majors. I mean, if you really think about it, going all the way back to when in the Masters result from last year, where he didn't even have tour status, and he was out there playing extremely well, top 10. Second. You're right, second. He was top 2. So he's now had 3 of these. 3 top 2s in majors will hurt your feelings.
Yeah, the great thing about yesterday, to use an analogy, if you haven't seen it, then just pull up the YouTube video. I mean, we live in that era where Sports Center is on demand. The Sports Center that we knew is on demand. It's like watching two guards or wing players in the NBA, one for each team, light it up. I mean, dudes were making shots yesterday. And I got to tell you, the U.S. Open's done a really good job the last couple of years. It's usually a laughingstock. But we have ourselves a major that is brutal but fair. And these guys are making shots that are ridiculous down the stretch. I just love watching strong, psychologically, wired people. These guys were tough as nails yesterday.
I'm pulling it up while we're talking. They are, Tom. I know we got to go, but I won a little money yesterday. I know in our pool that we're in together, I won, but that's not what I was talking about. I was in a DraftKings. That's just an aside, Tom. I won a DraftKings. I was on the national thing there. I got into the money on the national thing, but not a lot, Tom. Not a ton of money. But you know why? I had Scotty Scheffler, I had Rory McIlroy, and I had Matthew Fitzpatrick. That helps. Those guys help. And then my other lineup, I had Zalatoris. Anyhow, good work out of you, sir. Good work, Director Matthew. Thanks for listening, everybody. There's another hour coming. It's a best of. I'll be back live with you guys on Wednesday. Have a great rest of the day. Be well.